Hey, SnapFlash fam! Today's story is nothing short of historic. Botswana has just issued a public apology to South African ambassador and businesswoman Bridgette Motsepe, ending years of legal drama, international headlines, and political fallout. Let's break it down. What happens when a government wrongly accuses a diplomat of funding terrorism? In this case, a court order, global embarrassment, and a full-page apology in the Wall Street Journal. Stay with us. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated on all the biggest headlines across Africa and beyond. Only here on SnapFlash, the government of Botswana has officially apologized to Ambassador Bridgette Motsepe for what it now admits were false and reckless allegations made in 2019. These claims tied her to stolen funds, terrorism financing, and one of the biggest legal scandals in the country's history, the so-called butterfly case. Back in 2019, an affidavit by investigator Jako Hubona, backed by state intelligence agencies, accused Motsepe of co-signing offshore accounts used to launder money from the Bank of Botswana, a claim now proven to be completely fabricated. Ambassador Bridgette Motsepe had her way in court this past month after being granted an order for an apology by Botswana government for defamation of character.
But Bridgette has been triumphantly vindicated in her campaign to ensure that the truth came out, a 5-year-long campaign which has culminated in today. We are grateful for the new government of Botswana that recognised the terrible injustice that had been done against her and has acknowledged that in open court today, and also pledged to make sure it's thoroughly investigated how this happened. And we are of course grateful to the judge and to everyone, the whole legal team, who has contributed to what has happened here today.
Of traditional leadership in South Africa. Her father was the founding member of the Congress of Traditional Leaders, and therefore when there was a character assassination on her part, we had to come in the forefront to come and defend her, because we were quite clear from the beginning that this was a political mischief. There was nothing that was really negative that Ms. Bridgette had done, and therefore this case has now collapsed because it was based on falsehoods, it was based on narratives that are totally pointing to a clear case of the abuse of institutions of state to attack individuals without any material evidence. So that this has come to this now, we're quite very happy as Condoleezza, and we congratulate her, and we're also very happy as well that when you have a government that is progressive, is quick to take that decision to withdraw this matter, to say that in the first place there was nothing here, and therefore this government has washed its hands. And for us, we say this is a good example that when you have done wrong, you harm yourself. Other issues that are detailed as to what is going to happen as part and parcel of the reparation, let that be done by the relevant bodies to ensure that justice at the end of the day prevails. And we stand on the side of justice. And this case resonates with restorative justice system, which is based on the rudimentary of the customary roots as well of the laws, the origins of the laws in the African sense. And therefore, thanks to Bridgette, I think you are free now to do your work, and we'll continue to support you.
Yeah, okay.
And we also want to thank the legal team locally and Mrs. Blair for taking time to come and ensure that she processes this to its logical conclusion that we have witnessed today. And thank you very much for that, Mrs. Blair.
Okay, my name is Opahat Debe. I'm the member of the Executive Committee of the National Civic Association in South Africa. I'm here on behalf of our General Secretary would have been here, but there was an apology. First, we want to thank the legal team led by Ms. Blair. When this matter was brought into our table sometime, we felt that really, as a civic movement in South Africa, we can't leave it like that. We had to engage, and we've been called a march to the embassy of Botswana to say the victimization of women in particular is a problem. We believed in Ms. Bridgette on what she said. We are saying today those tears are wiped. She was crying, sorry. Thank you, Sisi. Thank you very much. Yeah, we know for the fact that this issue in the country, there was this bank and that bank, all of the banks were like said to have, the money was gone to the bank. And the ministers at some stage were like litigated or something. But we were focusing only on to say we can't have a situation where our leader and our leaders and our mother can be victimized in that particular way. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Just one word from
The court has ordered both Hubona and the Botswana government to issue a public apology and global retraction. Where? Government of Botswana homepage? For 7 straight days, full-page ads in the Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, Sunday Times, and Botswana's Megi Live news bulletins on CNN International and SABC News. The message? The allegations were reckless, baseless, and damaging. Motsepe Radebe chose not to seek monetary damages, saying her priority was clearing her name. But the government must pay her legal costs, with additional reimbursements to be considered in a hearing this August.
I am Kumo Motsi. I was engaged in this matter to represent the government and its agencies in respect of the proceedings that had been brought by the applicant, Duma Boko. It was a defamation suit in terms of which she was seeking damages to the tune of about 20 million. So having considered the papers and having taken instructions, because you'll remember that when these proceedings commenced, the regime was a different one. So obviously there has to be a distinction in terms of policy. There's been a shift because the orientation, this one is a human rights centric approach. And the human rights centric approach is one that requires that where there has been a violation of rights, individual rights, particularly by apparatus of government, as happened in this instance, then the proper route would be for the government to do all in its powers to try and assuage the wounded feelings of those aggrieved. So it is for that reason that we then took a decision that the proper course would not be to fight the proceedings, because we realized that a wrong had been committed against this individual, and it was therefore prudent to bring the proceedings to an end in the manner that we did.
So what happens next?
The settlement, as you have noted, is in respect of the costs that have been incurred, both the legal costs and what they classify as incidental expenses. These incidental expenses arose in the course of the proceedings, where she sought to engage resources for vindication of her name. So our liability in terms of the settlement extends to the settlement of the legal costs, that is the cost of counsel, and those incidental expenses. So the only thing outstanding is quantification of the quantum of those expenses. There is a procedure that is available to determine and get a figure in respect of the quantum of costs. We'll either agree on the costs. In the event of no agreement, we'll subject the legal cost to taxation. So the only matter that now remains pending for determination by the court is the question of the incidental expenses. We'll engage in discussions. We'll try by all means to close this matter by way of settlement, as we have done in respect of the main claim. But in the event we are not able to find each other, then we leave it to the court to make a determination in respect of that outstanding question.
Have you agreed on the date? I understand July was put out as a date for the next meeting following the engagement over content.
We'll be appearing before court for status update on the 20th of August. Meanwhile, the parties will then be conferring to try and reach a settlement agreement before that date. If we are not able to reach an agreement, as I've indicated, then we'll get a date where the court will assist the parties to resolve that question.
The case also dragged in former President Ian Khama, the late Isaac Kgosi, and high-level officials, sparking political tension between Botswana and South Africa. Bank of Botswana and global institutions debunked the so-called evidence, and calls for retraction intensified. The apology distinguishes Botswana's new administration under President Duma Boko, calling it a human rights-based government that pledges such abuses will never occur again. Analysts are calling this a rare act of accountability, with pressure now mounting for a full investigation into how false evidence entered Botswana's justice system. What do you think? Should those responsible for the false accusations face legal consequences? And is this apology enough to restore Botswana's international image? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you appreciate bold journalism and stories that matter, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to SnapFlash. Your support helps us bring truth to light. From courtroom drama to diplomatic redemption, Bridgette Motsepe's case isn't just about one woman. It's about justice, transparency, and reform in Southern Africa. We'll be watching how this story unfolds. Thanks for watching SnapFlash, where facts flash fast. See you in the next one.